Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Airline Exam Prep or AEP. Today I shall teach you how to fly a full overhead ILS procedure for the ILS runway 07 Chennai. I trust that this knowledge will help you pass any airline sim assessment checks that you may be appearing for in the near future. So let's start with the approach itself. As you can see, we're currently overhead Mike Victor, that is Chennai Airport, and we're maintaining 3,000 feet over here, right? And we're currently on a heading of 090. So you're flying east from Chennai. That's Mike Victor. So I'll brief you really quickly about the approach chart, and then we shall try flying the overhead approach for the ILS 07. So this here is the ILS runway 07 chart, 11-1, 27th of October 2017. This is called the briefing strip over here. In the interest of time, I will be skipping the brief for this particular section. However, you're expected to fill in this data on the FMGS RADNAV and the performance page, the minimas, the MSA. All these are relevant for your approach, right? So let's talk about the overhead procedure. As I mentioned earlier, we're currently overhead Mike Victor, and we're steadily flying east, right? So what's going to happen is we are going to fly east, and then we're going to take a sharp turn and come back overhead Mike Victor to fly the full overhead procedure, right? So in this scenario, what's going to happen is we're going to fly overhead Mike Victor, then proceed on a heading of 251 degrees, and then at 5.5 miles, we turn right on a heading of 296. We follow the procedure turn left 116 inbound, and intercept the ILS for the localizer ILS approach runway 07. So you can see the same thing here again on this chart as well. As you can see, it says maintain 3,000 feet overhead Mike Victor, initial heading of 246. Intercept the localizer outbound, then fly 251, and then descend all the way down to 1,800 feet. Right, and simultaneously at 5.5 miles, you commence the procedure turn, right, which is 296 out, 116 in, and then you arm the approach and commence lock star, glide slope star, commence the final approach, right? So we're going to try this in the actual aircraft. This is pretty straightforward, but I've noticed a lot of students have difficulty understanding how to fly this approach. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now in the aircraft. So my first step is to maintain 3,000 feet and come to Mike Victor VOR, right? That's first step number one. So let's do that. So as you can see here, now we have left Mike Victor. It's behind us right now. Let me just put this here so it's easier for you to understand. Alrighty. So in this scenario, we are at 2 miles from Mike Victor. All right. So first, let's set up the FMGS, shall we? So as you can see here, the FMGS is already set in for the Chennai airport. However, in your simulator assessment, in all likelihood, you will be taking off from Chennai and let's say going to an airport like Hyderabad. So the first thing that you need to do is plan for a return back to Chennai, right? So in this case, you can choose any one of the points over here and you can just enter a new destination, right? So for example, let's just select this point over here and I select new destination Chennai. Bear in mind, you can also activate your secondary if you have the secondary already planned for a quick arrival back into Chennai, right? So I insert that. And as you can see, Chennai is now the destination, right? So I again go to Chennai in the destination field. I go to the arrival page and I select the ILS runway 07. This may look slightly different for some of you depending on the database, but anyway, it's roughly the same icon. So ILS runway 07. And remember, there are no stars, which we're going to follow. We're going to fly overhead Mike Victor, right? So I select approach via. Now this is where it gets really important. Pay attention here, folks. I select approach via Mike Victor. Alrighty, and I select insert. So now what's happening here is, let me pull this out. Alrighty. So let me take you to the plan page. So as you can see, the procedure turn is already fed in, right? So all I need to do is clear all these unnecessary waypoints. So let me just select direct Mike Victor, right? Because that's my plan, right? I need to come to Mike Victor and then fly the outbound leg, turn the full procedure turn inbound and intercept the ILS. So I select Mike Victor and I insert it. Obviously, I also make sure that the FMA is reading nav, right? The two-way point is to Mike Victor. So now the aircraft is steadily turning in to fly towards Mike Victor, right? So let me continue with the FMGS and I shall track the aircraft shortly. I make sure that the RADNAV page is tuned with Mike Victor as well in the Mike Alpha Sierra, right? And that's on the Jefferson chart, if you notice. the localizer frequency, India Mike Alpha Sierra, right, 1103, final approach code 071. Make sure all these details are already fed in, right? On the progress page, I would set the runway threshold. That's my personal preference. Performance page, of course, activate approach phase, right? And the minimas as well, which is, what in this case, 284. Perfect. So I'm going to set 2, 8, and 4 on the minimas, right? Everything else is set, blah, 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 blah. So that's it. That's pretty much it, right? So as you can see now, the aircraft is making a sharp turn into Mike Victor, since I've set direct Mike Victor, after which it'll proceed on the outbound leg to make a full procedure turn and come back in for as you can see now, we are approaching Mike Victor from the east, right? So as you can see, we're approaching it from the east. We're coming overhead, and we proceed 251, right? At 3,000 feet overhead, Mike Victor, and then 251, and then at approximately 5 miles, we turn for the procedure turn. So that's what's happening right now. We're approaching Mike Victor, 3,000 feet. The approach phase has already been activated, so I can manage speed. Let's do that. I've managed speed here. That should work just fine. Let's keep the FCU here. All right. So I'm speeding up the aircraft 4 miles. Remember, as we approach the VOR, we set the altitude of 1,800, right? So 1,800 set on the FCU. We start configuring the flaps as we approach Mike Victor. Let's select flaps 1. And we are beautifully stationed over Mike Victor to fly on the outbound leg. All right, so let's commence a descent down to 1,800 feet. Let's thrust idle open descent. So she's established now on the back course of the localizer. That's 1.3 miles. We're on flaps 1, descending down to 1,800 feet. Let's have a look at the approach chart. It's exactly as per profile, right? 251, as established, as planned, 251, right? Now we proceed on to approximately 5 or 5.5 miles, commence the turn to 296. So now we are approaching 5 miles. We can go with flaps 2. As you can see, we're still flying the localizer back course over there. We're going to commence our procedure turn now. Commencing our procedure turn, we fly outbound for 1 minute. So we can start the timer on the chrono if required. There we go. The timer started on the chrono. All right, and I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So she's captured speed and all-star. And the next leg would be to turn inbound, which is 116 degrees, maintaining 1,800 feet. Remember, as you turn inbound, do not forget to arm the approach on the ILS and the localizer, all right? So we're going to do that right now. As we're approaching 1,800 feet, let's arm the approach. Cat 3 dual, autopilot 1+2, glide slope, and lock blue. As she commences a final procedure turn inbound, let's start putting the gear down. As you can see now, the localizer is alive, the aircraft is captured lock star, and she's turning inbound to the final localizer course, which is, in this case, 071. So you can see her trying to capture 071. And since we're approaching the final approach fix, we can start configuring flaps 3 and flaps full as well in the meantime. So that's flaps 3, and let's go with flaps full as well. And you are effectively established on the localizer with full flaps and landing gear configuration. So the glide slope is now alive. And we have the glide slope star. So we would put in the go-around altitude, which is 3,000 feet, climb straight ahead 3,000, turn left and join the Mike Victor hold. Well, once the go-around altitude is set, we are effectively on localizer, on the glide slope, go-around altitude set, fully established, fully stabilized. That's it. You do your landing checklist and you go ahead and land. Congratulations, you passed your sim assessment. I hope this information has proven useful to you. If you do feel that you need our assistance, please do not hesitate to contact us at airlineexamprep, that is AEP, at gmail.com, or 9987375 That's 9987375 Wish you a safe landing and blue skies.